Hey, Lauren Doyle here again, your Trust Your Gut teacher and intuitive development coach for all things business, relationship, and personal development. And I am here talking to you today, answering questions. Excuse me, I don't know why I ate some eggs earlier and now they keep making me have hiccup things. Anyways, I digress. Today I'm here to talk to you about answering some questions. So the question I want to answer for you today is why going against flow is not the same as fear, resistance, and light and bright decisions. Okay, so a few days ago I had a video and I was talking about how when you're following that light and bright decision, you will come across some resistance that'll make it feel hard, and that is fear. And then when it comes to intuitive decisions, fear is always good. So fear is always good when it comes to intuitive development and trusting your gut. So why is that resistance different than going against flow? So when I say going against flow, what I mean is you're faced with something and you can feel what feels lighter and brighter to do, or you have a lot of anxiety about what to do and you just want to push for a decision instead of taking a step back and waiting for the right answer to come. If it's not exactly clear yet, then you sort of push through whatever the decision is. So you haven't really determined which one feels light and bright. You just push for a decision. That is going against flow, right? So a lot of times those push decisions are the ones that you are going against flow. Going against flow decisions can often feel good, right? Because they're like, okay, I just made a decision. I'll deal with it later. And it feels good, right? But you'll know you're going against flow because you'll start to come across the same sort of feelings over and over and over again. And things will get harder and harder and harder, and you'll start to feel heavier and heavier and empty. You'll have an emptiness associated with it. So there's clear, definitive markers essentially that show you that you kind of pushed for a decision, you were pushing for something to happen, you were attached to a specific outcome, and you were going to make sure that outcome was going to happen the way you wanted it to happen. So things get harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder until you really feel stuck. And that can happen on micro levels and macro levels. So it can really be little things, but it can be huge things too. The level to which it is something that you need to address and needs to be expanded through, which is I've talked about in some of the other videos, is you will eventually feel stuck. So the bigger this thing is and the more this needs to be addressed in order for you to really grow and expand to another level, the more stuck you're going to feel. So little things, you might feel a little bit stuck. You're like, oh, I'm here again. And it's really these micro decisions that you can make that pull you out of that. But those bigger things are, you'll see big life patterns, heavier and heavier emotional things that are really, really making you feel stuck. The thing is that each time that you cycle through that, it's going to get harder and harder and harder. So that's where where I will say to clients all the time, the question you need to ask yourself in those moments where you feel that mega stuckness is, how hard does hard have to be? So how hard does it have to be before you come back to that same point again and know, okay, am I going to push through this again? Am I going to shy away from what feels scary? Because that's a lot of times, well, always, what feels lighter and brighter is off. There's always fear attached to that. So am I going to shy away from that fear and not choose that lighter and brighter decision and push through again? And so there are people that have gotten so used to pushing and so used to just against flow all the time that it's just, that literally their whole life becomes diseased and stuck and moving backwards to where they themselves are diseased. So it's a real, backwards flow the more you try to push through to something that isn't in flow, right? So, when you are faced with that, recognize that the fear in intuitive decision is good. And that resistance is, you will literally feel an inner strength, an inner fortitude that gets stronger and brighter and grows as you're moving through that. So when you come out on the other side of it, everything all of a sudden gets like super easy and bright, and all these things fall into place, and you have all these coincidences. So all these things happen to basically encourage you that yes, this is the right direction. You see, like, you had to just go through this little hard time, and now all of a sudden everything's breaking open. Whereas if you're on this push through part over here and you're going against flow, things are just going to get harder and harder and harder and more stuck. You're never going to have that, you'll feel like you're strong, like externally strong, but you'll still feel heavy and negative, really, on the inside. You won't feel that strength from the inside in the same way. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to that fear. Always lean into that, because that's an indicator of those intuitive decisions, and what feels light and bright is always right. And give it a shot. Face those fears. Move through them. Until next time, I will see you later. However, you can schedule a private session with me below so we can do some one-on-one with each other to help you grow and expand. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. Bye!